All right, Nick. So, how does social media present in relationships now?
Um, I think that, social media has definitely been a big thing these past 10 years. I think a lot of, personally for me, my own opinion, what I think is like big about the whole social media thing is like one way or another, one partner is going to be like feeling some type of way about you following certain type of people on there and whatnot. But
It just kind of makes it a whole experience of like
yeah,
one person's kind of going back and forth with another and just kind of getting an idea of like, okay,
exactly.
like are they do they have someone in their DMs and that type of thing. So you think it's impacting relationships a lot.
Exactly. Even across Instagram, Snapchat, it doesn't matter. It could be TikTok or Facebook. Either either or, like a lot of social media like platforms can cause a lot of problems in relationships. I mean, it really can.
No,
It simply can. And we've all been through a scenario where
what's kind of been your scenario on how it's impacted it?
of how it's impacted personally me.
Hmm.
Um, man, I can go back to like high school. There was I used to date this girl, and this was my fault. But I wasn't like I was really immature in high school, but I definitely made a decision of DMing another girl, and or whatnot, and
That's
while
fair.
dating somebody,
That's a
or
big no-no.
dating somebody within only about a month or two. But still, you shouldn't be doing that.
Big no-no.
Since social media can definitely be playing a big part of preventing that for
So,
sure.
so obviously with I mean back in the day everyone's talking about, our parents they say, "Hey, we didn't
Yeah.
have any of the social media things, I can only imagine meeting someone and not being able to call them immediately. I mean, just imagine having to dial a phone, like to have to
Exactly.
talk to
Like,
someone. I can really see like
yeah.
how I mean the relationships that our parents formed were just a lot deeper because I mean a lot of the times they had to really get to know someone and it was a lot more physical interactions compared to just
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm calling you and then you can just break up with someone over text. I
Exactly.
mean, do you think because of social media that ghosting has become more prevalent? Um,
It definitely can because essentially, like, whether you're a girl or a guy, when you're, texting them for the very first time, it's all about that first impression. When you're texting them, like, it's either you're giving them a bad vibe or you're giving them a good vibe. And
okay.
then obviously, essentially, if you're giving them a good vibe, they're going to keep talking to you. But if they're not going to give you that same energy back, it's just going to be like, dang, like there's like definitely a gray area in there, like where she's definitely gonna be like, okay, this guy is definitely not my type, or there's an ick there. I'm just simply just like ghost him, literally.
So, what was your funniest ghosting experience? Like one that either you had to do
Ooh,
or one that you had to kind of just absolutely endured yourselves, like that you thought it was a good date, but then you got ghosted, or either you had to do the ghosting.
well, I think this was definitely, I'd say 2019. I was talking to this girl. Well, she messaged me first, and it took me a while to respond. I was really busy, and we kicked off with a simple conversation. How's your day been? Oh, cool, cool. Where are you from? Essentially, and then there's just something that I can't really remember, but it's just something she said that like really be like, okay. So it kind of just gave me that what moment, but that's what really just made me like, okay, this one's not my type. I'm
This
gonna
was
move
not
on.
me immediately. And I
Exactly,
mean,
exactly.
honestly, that just kind of goes back to social media because I mean, again, you can talk to somebody and typically before you even have that interaction of getting to know them, a
Yeah,
lot of the times it's just really like, hey, you have to take them out on a date
yeah,
in order for them to be able to be in that situation at all. I mean, that kind of takes me to this. What do you think of the talking stage? Because I know that the talking stage itself, everyone thinks that you're technically talking, but I mean, in my opinion, a talking stage is this. You're texting before the date, that's the talking
yeah,
stage.
yeah, for
And
sure.
then after you go on that date, you are now dating. Now, you're not in a relationship, you have no attachment, you're not exclusive, but you are technically dating by every means of the definition. I mean, do you have any thoughts on
I
that?
mean, well, just going back to your that question a little bit, like, you know, just like the whole talking stage. Let's just say let's just start with like the talking stage really starts when like you're both on that mutual like and you're matching energy for a little while and you're like, okay, like we're talking, you know, like you want to like obviously confirm like if you're really are we talking or like, what are we?
Well,
Like,
here's what I say, right? Because I feel like a lot of this generation has really taken the whole talking stage thing and kind of done it as like a mini relationship before the relationship,
mm,
but technically give expectations, which in all reality, all that means is just you're dating. Think about it
mm-hmm,
this way, right?
mm-hmm,
Let's say you meet a girl at the grocery store,
uh-huh.
right? Which honestly doesn't not happen as much as it should,
About 20,
right?
30%.
Like, let's say you meet a girl there, you hit it off, something about her kind of catches your eye, and you say, "Hey, you know what? I'd like to keep this conversation going. Let me take you on a date." Well,
Mm,
you are no longer in a talking stage because as soon as you go on a date, you are now technically dating. Now, you can go on one date, you guys hate each other,
right.
nothing goes off, and you guys technically dated because you guys went on a date. You're no longer talking, right? That's how I think it all goes. Now, from the whole thing of it, people believe that let's say you take that person out and let's say that first date goes good and you take them on a second date, you take them on
Hmm.
a third date, you take them on a fourth date, you take them on a fifth date.
Yeah, so on and
You're
so forth.
still dating, you're
Hmm.
not talking, right? I feel like a lot of this generation, we're just trying to put down talking and kind of just making it into a scenario where like, hey, this isn't really because we're afraid of commitment to a very deep degree, enough that we don't want it to seem too much. So we're making it seem very much nonchalant. We're just talking.
Yeah.
You kind of
We're,
see what I'm
we're
saying?
just talking. We're filling each other out,
Yeah,
right?
we're
And
kind of just seeing how it all
just
goes. That's dating.
exactly.
Whenever you're in a
But
relationship, that's whenever you're actually saying, "Hey, I'm exclusive to you and
yeah.
everything."
But obviously, like, yes, there's definitely like there's going to be a time you're like, well, you like obviously are we going to be like something or like are we going to like obviously bring her to dinner, then ask her out to be your girlfriend, you know, essentially,
Fair
right?
enough.
Setting everything up. If it's something that's what you want to do, and that's how you feel, and that's you're taking your shot at if that's what she truly feels, then boom, there you are. You guys are in a relationship from that point until on, and yeah.
So before you even get to that point, do looks or personality matter more?
Mm, I would say, I mean, definitely personally for me now, it's definitely personality. The only reason why I ask that, I mean, like the only reason I say that is because, um, the older you get, looks are only temporary. Personality is forever.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, you having a grill like a huge personality where you're like, dang, this girl really has such a personality, like, and she's amazing in all types of ways. And she don't have to be the most beautiful girl in the world, but definitely, but looks do help a little bit, but it looks eventually just go away over time. Now it also depends how well she takes care of herself, right? But that's on
Yeah.
her. So yeah.
100%. So
Mm-hmm.
here's then a funny question.
All right.
Let's say, for example, you are a multi-billionaire,
Mm,
right? Let's say you're Jeff Bezos,
mm.
Elon Musk,
I like the
right?
sound of that.
Now, I mean
That would be
that'd
nice.
be amazing.
That would be
I
nice.
mean, in those scenarios, obviously, whenever you're that rich,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, girls will just naturally be attracted to you, not because of the way you look or anything, just because they want money, right? Just because they want
Yeah.
some portion of that. And either they don't really love you, they just love the fact that you make money, so
Yeah.
they're with you because of that. If you were that rich and you know that the girl that you're with is just simply with you because of the money, right? Would you still date her? Because you know that without the money, you're never going to get her. She's a top 10 out of 10 Victoria's Secret model,
Mm-hmm.
right? Would you still date her knowing, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, we have a shared interest. I love her because of the way she looks. I probably wouldn't love her the same way if not. Or what would you kind of think in that scenario? Because that happens a lot with ultra wealthy people.
It definitely does. Good question, Jonathan. I personally, I mean, I think that if I was rich, if I was a billionaire, um, money isn't really. I mean, at that point, if you're that rich, money is really not going to make you happy. At that point, you want to spend the rest of your life with someone that's going to make you happy, not because you have money, but because she likes you because of who you are.
That's fair.
So with that being said, I mean, yeah, if that answers your question, this,
So you're saying that
yes, I mean,
even if the looks weren't
mhm.
there, right, you would still be with them, even though you're like, hey, you know what, I'm a billionaire. I can get anyone in the literal world.
No, yeah, I mean, it definitely depends on what type of billionaire you are. Some billionaires just don't want to be married. Some they just want to, you know, keep making that money, keep spending, right? And like they have that one girl that's sticking beside them. You know what I mean? Whether he thinks that he's there, to dating her because he has money
That's
or
fair.
whatnot, right? And I just it all just comes down to, if she actually truly loves him, and or he truly loves her for her, because I mean, at the end of the day, he's a billionaire. Like, you're gonna have money.
So
Like,
should financial stability be something you look for in a relationship? So let's say, for example,
mm,
you start a relationship right now, or you're looking for a girl in your situation, or let's say a girl's looking for a guy, right? Should looking for a person that is financially stable, if you're actually looking for a full-on long-term commitment relationship, be something that you prioritize more than not? Because I feel like a lot of the issues, and obviously one of the biggest causes for divorce, I believe it's like 67% of divorces
mm,
are caused because
mm,
of money, right?
okay.
Money becomes an issue on one portion of
Definitely.
the
As you get
equation.
older, money does play a big factor in
So,
marriage
do
and
you
things like that.
think that if you start looking for someone, that if you're looking for someone that you think you're going to spend your entire life with, should money be a bigger talking point earlier on in the relationship or not?
Well, that's also another good question, Jonathan. Well, um, I'm gonna have to think on that one. Well, okay, to really just answer that question, I mean, in this generation, like, a lot of people our age, we're in our 20s now. We gotta start to getting to a point where, like, we're focusing ourselves, we're building our financial stability, and eventually we're gonna meet somebody. And usually when you're going on that first date, you're gonna start asking her questions like, what are your goals in life? What's your ambitions?
So let's
Like,
say, for example, you talk to someone, and let's say, I mean, there's some people that have goals of, being super ultra rich or
or or
being
or just
different things, right?
or
But
just being a
there's
mom.
but there's different ones that either are wanting to be a mom, which I mean, everything's completely okay.
Yeah,
If that's your
yeah,
goal, if that's your, as
for
long as
sure.
it's shared with the partner
Yeah,
and both are okay, I mean, do at it. It's your life, right?
of course.
I mean, what about someone if they said, hey, for you specifically, if they had a bad credit score, right? Would you say, no, I won't date you if you have a bad credit score?
Um, I personally, I don't think a credit score it really defines you as a person. I mean, it can be in certain scenarios of how, like, how your story is, but everybody's story is different how it got there. You simply just can't, like, oh, if she has a 500 credit score, like, credit can be built right back up. And someone, say, like, for instance, me, that has over 700, like, is, you can, like, if they weren't taught a little bit how to build their credit, you can be in their position, like, hey, like, this is how you kind of build that up, kind of, not like educate them, but, like, just give them, like, little tips in here and there, like, really how to build their
So
credit
credit
up.
wouldn't be a biggest thing. I mean,
Mm.
what if in that scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
That person said, you know what, and you find out, let's say, eight dates in, right?
8 dates
That
in.
that person has a bad credit score, and you can typically tell, okay, are they a good person or were they just in a bad situation? Because those are two different things. But here's what you find out, right? They have bad credit because either they repossess vehicles, and then
They got evicted from their house.
they've maxed out credit cards, and they've done all this. Nothing that caused them to be like that. It's just they are just very bad financially. They make bad
Yeah,
financial decisions.
yeah.
Would that be a red flag in a relationship?
Like, would that be a big,
If that person is like that, would that be a
um,
red flag in a relationship?
if there's someone that's had maxed out credit cards and
Just someone that has been very bad financially.
very bad financially? Well, no, because it's simply that's just because they weren't taught the right way growing up, or just, in their early adulthood. You know, you I've seen a 22-year-old have really bad credit, and then now they're like 26, 27, now they're over 700 because they simply just taken the time to really
That's
get
fair.
that their finances really in place, and having their ducks in a row. But yeah, I mean, I don't really see that's a red flag.
So I mean, here's the thing with dating this day and age that
Mm,
everything just seems so hard. I
yeah,
mean, you
it really
to
is.
to meet someone, you really have to kind of scour through dating apps, kind of go through
Hmm.
different friends and everything like that.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, you're done with it all. Should you go back to your ex?
When you're done with it all.
Let's say you're done with dating. You're like, you know what, my ex was really great. You broke up because you guys weren't in the right situation, or it wasn't the right time, that type of thing. Should you go back to your ex? Or is there ever a situation in which you should go back to your ex?
No comment. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, it really just depends like where you and your ex left off. Now, obviously, they say not to backtrack or keep going back to the same person that you've spent so much time with and you given a lot of your love to. That person is going to be super important in your heart, from now on, from all the way to the day you die. But it really just depends, where you guys really left off, and but there's definitely some exes out there that, not personally me, but just I have friends that have dated somebody and they've written back to them because they feel like that, like they think they absolutely love
How
each
have
other.
those worked out? How do they typically break up
I
again?
mean,
Or do they
percentage wise, it can be 50-50. It really can be. I mean, it can be 60-40. It can 30-70. It really just all depends of what person that guy is and what the girl is. Now, obviously, you always want to meet new people. There's a lot of people in the world. Now, obviously, this shouldn't give you a reason to keep going back to the same person over and over. Because at that point, if you're doing that, you either like one, you love them still, right? You still have feelings or whatnot, or three, you're just lonely. Like,
and here's one of the other things, right? A lot of the times, and especially, for people in their 20s, right?
yeah,
Especially when you're in college, one of the biggest things, as you kind of mentioned, was kind of loneliness.
of course.
Uh, I honestly feel like a lot of the reasons, I mean, obviously, other than the way that it feels,
Uh-huh.
is that sexual interactions are something that are super popular because
In
of
this
that.
generation,
A lot of
yes.
the times why people go back to their exes and you're like, hey, I'm already comfortable, already know how it is, and make it happen. So
Hmm.
whenever you're in college, 72% of college students, and I'm just running it off of just reports, have sex. Out of those 72% of college students that have sex, 45.6% of them are on birth control. And I'm just only talking
Really?
about the female components, right?
Mm.
So is it kind of interesting to say that, you know, there's such a high percentage of people in college that have sex? I mean, it's honestly interesting to think that that number isn't higher than what it is because
I'm surprised it's not
that,
like 80.
I mean, I would really think it's around like 89%. I mean, obviously there's,
Yeah.
different situations. That's honestly a little bit lower than I expected.
Hmm.
But this number, 45% of them being on birth control, is significantly higher than I expected. That kind of just speaks to the amount of people that are interacting that. I mean, do you kind of think that one of the reasons why is it just kind of loneliness and hurt and loneliness and kind of being afraid of, relationships and whatnot?
Um, huh. I would, I mean, with a percentage that high, I mean, it's not like crazy high, but it is higher than it's ever been. Especially in this generation. Um, you know, really, like if you're someone that's in college, you're going through like a repressed time, and you're doing a bunch of homework, you're stressed about school, you're stressed out about life. You're like, and your life is just getting started.
Yeah.
So really, yeah, I mean, you're gonna feel those lonely points, and like you're just gonna you go to the bar with some friends, and like like just say a girl sees a guy that they like, and of course they're gonna start talking or drinking up a little bit. The guy's gonna buy the girl a shot, and then boom, they go home with each other, and then boom, that's just it, man. That's
Sounds
it.
like sounds like your own personal thing going on right there.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hold on. Just
So
hold on now.
where should you take someone out? Let's say you just met someone. Where should you take someone out on a date?
If I just met someone in public,
Let's say you met someone in public. You
uh-huh.
just like, hey, we should go out, right? Where
Mm.
should you take someone out on a date? What would a perfect date scenario be like? Or what are like top three places on where you would take someone out on a date to?
I mean, really. it really just all depends. Like, as a man, you wanna be able to guide. So you wanna obviously find those spots. Don't have her answer those. So just obviously find three places that are, that you like, but really ask her like what type. You really, before you even like do that, really ask her what kind of food she likes.
So are you saying so? I kind of do dates differently, and I kind of plan it around how I know that person
For
is.
sure.
So I'll
Okay.
normally ask, okay, are you kind of more of an outdoor person? Do you like being outdoors?
Right. Yeah.
Are you
You
kind of
ask
more a
those little
person that do
questions.
adventurous, things
Mm-hmm.
like that? Because I really feel like only restaurant dates can get very, very boring, very tacky, don't really give much of an experience, right? And I kind of feel like the first situation, one of the no-nos for dates, in my opinion, are like movies. Like you aren't
That's
you aren't
basic,
you aren't
man.
gonna do
That's
anything. You're not gonna be able to get to know that person any well.
yeah. You're just
Um,
watching a movie in
no,
a theater.
you
Like,
can't talk. I mean, the
yeah.
most talking you're
You can
gonna do is
whisper.
on the ride there, and then on the ride back. That's it, right?
Right.
So movies are a no-no. So what are kind of like three places you would say that going on a first date should look like? Like restaurants, obviously that's a known one,
It,
right?
it it also depends on like what the weather looking like. If it's a summertime, go on a picnic.
Picnics are
Go
good.
go on a good picnic. Really have that plan, have everything ready to go. Really surprise her too. You know what I mean? So, and another place you could go if she's really like an outdoor person, go to a restaurant that simply just has like an outdoor patio. So you guys are just you guys are vibing on a beautiful day, eating good food. Um, and then if it's more of like like she likes to not be outside too much, but like likes to be inside, go to like place like go to like Red Door, or go to like just go to any type of restaurant. Really, like if she really likes Italian food, go take her to Olive Garden, or go to Bravo.
I
Like
gotcha.
good
So
restaurants.
here's kind of what I'm saying with that kind of first date scenario.
Mm-hmm.
What I would kind of say is like, okay, if you want to be different and you want to say, hey, no restaurants, if I'm not going to take you to a restaurant, I'm going to take you somewhere different, right? I would say that the top three places where you can take someone would be like bowling, right?
Yeah.
Bowling, take
Yeah, that's
someone
right. Yeah,
mini golf. I mean,
Top
something as
Golf.
fun as like, uh, go-kart racing, things like
Yep.
that. Something that you do something together.
Yeah.
It's kind of competitive
Very true.
because you want to get something competitive flow out of both of each other,
Mm-hmm.
but it's fun competitive, right? You guys are both kind of making jokes. You get to know one another. And you
Yeah.
really want to leave that first date impression as
Yeah,
good as you kind of can.
for sure.
I mean, how soon is it too soon to tell someone you love them? Let's say you went on all these dates, you know everything about them. How soon is it to tell them that you love them? Is it 3 weeks away? Is it
3 weeks.
a month and a half
Nah.
away? Is it
Uh,
6 months in? Is it a year in? How soon is too soon to tell someone you love them?
Too soon to tell someone you love them?
Yep.
All right.
What would you say is the most the least amount of time someone has to do in order to tell you I love you?
I mean, if you're telling a girl that you love her like a month in to like
That's
the
crazy.
relationship, or you're just in the talking stage, that's wild. But I think a good time to really like you're like if she says it within like if she says it to you before you say it, like in like say a 3 or 4 months down like into the relationship,
So you're thinking about 3 to 4 months
3 to 4 months
after
into
you're
the relationship,
would be
like
about
sometimes it could be a little later down the line. Like
okay.
if it's really true love, then it's you guys are both going to take time with it.
Yeah, to just make sure
Not
that it's not just a word being thrown out and
exactly,
everything like that.
exactly. Don't want to rush into things. Like if you simply just love this woman, you want to like really be with this person for eternity till you both die. Like you definitely want to have all that, and yeah, I mean,
So to be with someone, especially you said to eternity till you die. I mean, that sounds scary.
yeah. I mean, it
That
is,
sounds
but
scary.
we're
What
all here
would
to
what
live
would you
to
kind of think
to
are
die.
the red flags in a relationship that you don't want to make sure that the person that you're with has? Like if you could say three things you want to make sure that person does not have or
uh,
aren't in a relationship,
hmm.
what would those three things be?
First thing, definitely drinking problem.
Okay.
So it's essentially like if I'm hanging out with you and like and I'm not a huge drinker. I occasionally drink, but if I'm seeing you like if if we're on like a first date essentially, and you're like 4 espresso martinis in, you gotta like you keep ordering drinks or you know what I mean or whatnot. You go to the bar and she just keeps drinking. That's a big red flag for me. Like personally, I don't like a girl who likes drinking
So
because
drinking,
it's
what would
bad.
be the second thing?
What would be the second thing? Definitely. I don't like a girl who makes a lot of excuses.
In what
I
regards?
mean, not excuses. Let me rephrase that. Um, I guess miscommunicating certain things. You
Okay.
know, like let's just say like if she like just about anything like her age, or something like or
Her age?
not her age, but I don't know. Second thing.
So here's what I would kind of say with that, right?
I'm trying to think
I kind
here.
of see where you're going with the miscommunications and everything like that because if you're trying to hang out
Yeah.
with that person
Yeah.
and then let's say you have a really good first date, let's say you guys have dated now, let's say you're in a relationship now for 3 months, you're now past the dating,
Bad.
you're actually in a
Yeah.
relationship, you're committed, you're exclusive, but then that person starts making excuses back and forth, like you're
Bad responses.
bad
The bad
response
response
bad
time.
response
Yep.
times or and not because they're
That'd be
busy
number
just because
two for
they,
me.
they don't want to answer
Yeah.
or they feel like being with you isn't something that they really look forward to.
Right.
I would feel like that's something really good because I feel like, and again I actually talked about this on my very first episode,
Yeah.
whenever you're with someone and it doesn't feel like they want to be with you back, even though they say I love you, and even though whenever you spend time together it's great, but whenever you're apart, it's almost super hard to get back together with them. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would feel like that would be a second very big red flag where you're trying to hang out with them and you have plans, you have a date planned, and then out of nowhere, boom, you cancel or they cancel. That would be
Right.
a red flag that you are the red flag
At
or they are the red
at that
flag.
point, yes. No, yeah, I would say definitely the second thing would be like, if they're replying super like after a long time, long periods of
What would
time.
you consider a long time? Let's
Like,
say that you're at
l-
work. At work, I get it, but
yeah,
let's say
yeah, exactly.
while after you're out of work, what would you consider a response time you would want?
I mean, like personally, like I mean, it's happened to everybody. I've been undelivered for like 2 hours, probably around that realm. 2 to 3 hours is like kind of crazy,
So
and
getting consistently delivered for 2 to 3 hours is what you would say. That's
like
a
yeah, and honestly, at that point, like in this point in my life, like I would if she's already doing that, like
if
I'm
it's
I'm
this.
I'm just gonna simply just gonna cut them off. Like that's just a waste of time. Like I can put more of my time into someone else that's probably like that's gonna like really like
Give you a
I
little bit
don't
more
care
effort
how
back.
busy you are because you and I like we're always busy. But
Right.
we can still just simple send a text within like 30 seconds.
And
It's
say, hey, I'm busy right now, but here
yeah,
it is what it is. At
I'll
least
text
understanding, that stuff
I'll
like that.
text you a little more when I get to like gonna get on lunch or a little bit throughout the day. But like when I get, I was like I get off at this time. Like I mean, communication's big, but big. The third thing that I probably think is a big red flag in my opinion, um, probably if she's got, and I'm not saying I'm like the jealous type by any means, but if she just simply has no friends that are girls, but they're all guys.
Okay.
That's kind of like
Pretty big red
I
flag.
don't I there's definitely been a few girls that I've met in my life that just simply just only have guy friends.
You've dated any of them?
Huh?
Have you dated any of them?
Nah. Nah. I mean I came close, but then I think I dodged a bullet with that one.
Okay.
So either way, either or, I mean, that's just personally like what I think is a red flag. Like, yeah, it's cool to have friends, right? But you don't like having only friends is guys like and like if she's really gonna talk to you like if she's talking to me right and she has the guy friends that are like oh they're all gonna disapprove of me because they're all just trying to fuck like they they're all just trying to like really get with their friend right
So
like
I got a question. Let's say, for example,
yeah
you date a girl,
uh-huh
right? And she has a guy best friend. And you know that they haven't had any past or anything like that. You
mm-hmm.
know that they are purely just friends. Do you think
Hmm.
that a guy and a girl can be friends while either the guy or the girl is in a relationship?
Like if I'm talking to a girl that has a guy friend that
Mhm.
they've only been friends for like a year.
Let's say they've been friends for 4 or 5 years. Let's say it's not just They've
4 or 5 years?
let's say they've been friends for 4 or 5 years. Let's say they've known each other for a while. But obviously there's a gender thing because obviously, he's a guy, she's a girl. So naturally you think, hey, well, he's just playing the long game or
Well,
anything like that. Do you think that, hey, this guy and this girl, I mean, she's going to cheat on me with him eventually or anything like that? Do you think guys and girls can be friends after you're in a relationship?
after, like, if we're already in a relationship, yeah, 100%. Okay. I mean, like, well, if I'm in a relationship, and if I have a friend that's a girl, right? Like, it really just depends on how she truly feels about it. But at the same time, really explain to her, like, this has been my friend since, like, for about a couple years now. She's super cool. We don't really have a big, like, we really don't have a big past. We really became friends because we were all in one group,
Right.
right? But like, it really just all depends, because it really is, like, if like, say, my girlfriend, right,
Right.
like, was actually becoming friends with her, right?
Right.
Think about this, because if she has a guy friend,
Hmm.
then, like, and if he actually, like, thinks I'm pretty chill, think I'm pretty cool, he approves or whatever, then he's gonna, like, he'll actually take time to actually, like, get to know me as a
Right.
person, really be cool, and then you can make another friend right there.
Exactly.
Exactly, and I think that's pretty valid.
100%.
So, I mean, yeah, that's it. That's a good
So
question.
let's say you meet a girl.
Yeah,
She's amazing.
yeah.
You guys have gone on the best dates ever. You think that she's the one, but you find out she has a kid.
Um,
What do you do?
if we've been on how many dates? Like, first date,
Let's say
second, third,
you've been
fourth.
on like 8 dates,
We've
right?
been on 8 dates.
You're right to the point where you're about to ask her to be your girlfriend.
I would definitely have a conversation. We would have a conversation about it, like, how come you didn't tell me, a little bit sooner? Like, you know what I mean? But I'm not saying it's a big problem, because, whether, like, mamas need love too. Like, they definitely do. And, they, like, if there's definitely a single mom, there's definitely not a guy in the picture for a simple reason.
Right.
Obviously, have a conversation about that, but really just work things out. Like, if you really truly love the woman, right, you're not gonna, like, really stop talking to her because she has a kid. Like,
Okay.
come on now, like, and you could be best friends with the kid. Like, you really could, like, and simply, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, if we were a lot younger, like, if we were, like, in high school, there's definitely, or in college.
Then that becomes a lot harder.
Well, in that era, it definitely feels like when you're that young in your mindset, you're probably thinking, like, nah, I'm definitely, if I'm gonna find a girl, I'm gonna find a girl with no kids, and I'm gonna start a family. Well, as you get older, how it really works is, and especially in this generation, it gets harder and harder to find someone. It really is.
So whenever you find one,
She could be 28. And she could be 28. She could be 27. She can have 1 or 2, 3 kids. Before
Three kids gets
before
crazy.
30. Before 30. But like I said, if you really truly love her, like, and y'all work things out, and everything's all good at the end of the day, you guys are both happy. That's
three.
good.
All I gotta say is 3 kids is crazy, but
It
I
it,
mean
it,
that
it kind of is, but yeah.
that would kind of change it all. But I do
Mm.
want to tell you guys thanks for watching. This will be a podcast, and we are the Cut the Cup, the Cap podcast
Yes,
with
sir.
JMG, and then this is Nick. Leave your questions and comments in the comment section. I'd love to hear about it, or any of the things we kind of discussed. If you guys do have anything that you guys would like to input, let me know. Or any questions you'd like to ask for me to ask the next guest, I'd be more than happy to put them in the comments. Thank you.